All right, panelists. Earlier, we've touched on the importance of collaborating with diverse creatives in the country. Now, let's go deeper into it with the aim of discovering ways to champion more local talents and how we can take Filipino talents forward locally and globally. As we try to propel Filipino talents forward, let's talk dreams. Are there any collaborations any of you have been dreaming about? Something you'd absolutely love to bring to life?
Probably already happened when we did the her cover shoot. I nearly died because I think music is really at the like musicians or music that's really at the core of what I love shooting. When I got the Zoom call, I had to turn off my camera because I was in tears. It was like a dream I didn't ever think I would be close enough to reaching. I never think of myself as someone who can actually do stuff like that. So I think trust from the team was very important. Like I love how they think someone can do so and so, because I myself would not have had the guts to try anything like that. So working with her, who's such a global icon, really humbles you. I learned so much on set. Trying to showcase Filipino fashion, of course, trying to show where she came from, trying to trace her roots. And it's true what they say, like, being in a magazine is not a glamorous job. If only you saw how they really trekked through everything. Try to. We were in the palaya. It's a great experience. I would love to do something like that again someday, like Olivia Rodrigo maybe. Would be
Okay.
super nice to shoot. Yeah, but honestly, I don't think of those things. I've never dreamt about shooting a particular person or subject. I just try to think I'm prepared for whatever will come. So I just keep, the discipline of like shooting and collaborating. So when the time comes, I can show up and do it.
Yeah. All right. Jax, you wanted to add something?
Sorry. I'm not sure if excited is the right term or dreaming about a collaboration, but I am, like what we all mentioned earlier. I'm curious about a lot of things. Like currently, I'm curious about something that I have zero knowledge about, which is K-pop and P-pop. I have no knowledge about that, but I'm curious about what the mentality is, what the celebrity culture is, and so many of those things. So it's really like for an editor or for a writer, it's really just about curiosity rather than excitement.
Marlon, with your vast experience, whether it's in advertising, film, theater, and with all of these emerging Filipino talents that are sprouting everywhere, are there any that you are thinking, you know what, this person, this actor, or this creative is gonna do really well?
Yeah. I mean, theater is alive right now. Involved in theater, the sandbox. So theater is alive. I really like. There's so many discoveries. Like of course, Gab Pangilinan. She's crossing over the Mike Salomon tandem. Um, I'm excited about the new, because I also serve as the chairman and board of trustees of PETA, the theater. So I'm excited about the transition, succession. You have Norbs Portales, of course you still have Maribel. So I'm excited about the change also in leadership in creative fields. That really excites me. I'm not so exposed to photography. Of course, the usual, of course, mahal ko tong si Shaira, di ba? Shaira, Joseph, di ba? But I would like to shoot with Jeric Sanchez, I think, because he has a very clear, graphic, like the way I want to paint. He has a very clear, very almost classical way of framing and posing. So in makeup, ang dami ng beautician bago, di ba? I mean, we are from propaganda, so we were from the 90s to the 2000s. Now there's so many exciting makeup artists. Designer, as a fashion person, I should say I'm excited about designers, but I really am excited about what you're doing with used, ukay stuff. Sustainability is real, okay? I mean, don't buy stuff. I know it's bad. We're supposed to push new things, but rescue the clothes, rescue those clothes, those pieces, and put them together again. So I'm really excited about sustainability. It's a big issue, sustainability in fashion. We're one of the polluters. So I'm excited about that. What really excites me though, that I really want to get to, I'm doing new films and series, is that I've always wanted to do a tourism ad. Because I think the identity of a country tied up to a business of being viewed outside, having an external gaze, is so exciting for me. Because like Vogue, diba? You're forced to, what is our identity? I like questions of identity and positioning and branding. So for me, that's one of the things that I still want. Tourism is one of those things I've not done I've done all the categories, from pesticides to tractors, but I haven't done tourism type of an idea. How to sell an identity of a people and a place that resonates with everyone outside. And it should resonate with us also. So that's
Right.
the only thing that I haven't yet checked in the
Yeah.
bucket list.
Well, hopefully soon. Yep.
If I may, I think what's interesting is not just maybe one particular artist or designer or creative who seems to have a stellar rise. What I'm finding is throughout food, local, we have the Michelin star that was awarded, and also so many exciting new concepts here, but not just here, even throughout the diaspora. There is such a great interest in Filipino cuisine, or chefs who are of have Filipino roots. And you see that in cinema as well, from all different kinds of cinema. There are amazing new female directors and storytellers. And you see that in fashion. We have some models who are making their strides on the international platforms as well. And then you see it with the local designers having this sort of vibrant stake in the fashion world. And then you also see it with actors, and you see it in art. We have friends who are gallerists who just opened in New York, and it was extremely well attended. And I remember when we had interviewed them, they said there's such a momentum and interest and curiosity about the Philippines right now. And she said, our time is now. And I feel that whole wave is a real momentum that we will continue to fan the flames off, because it's again, it's pride in our identity. I think it's reached this far because a lot of it is about the things that we love from the different regions we belong to. So I think, again, more than just one stellar artist or creative, it is this wave that we're feeling.
I think that's a great point, Bea. Just to jump off on that statement, in today's dynamic creative landscape, what distinctive qualities do you all think sets Filipinos apart? What making their approach to creativity stand out?
Well, for me personally, I think what sets a Filipino creative apart from the rest of the world is the same thing that sets other peoples all over the world. It's their singular experience. So if you stick to your singular experience, what you actually go through every single day, like how we're the only ones who go through EDSA traffic. We're the only one who eats bibingka during Christmas. We're the only ones who has the government that we have. So it's a singular experience. So if we lead with that, you will have that uniqueness that will stand out from the rest of the world. And also, ironically, you will also build common threads with other people, because even if your experience is unique, it will touch on other people's in other countries. So I think if we lead with that, we'll be fine.
Why do you think of Filipino creatives or artists? I remember when I was dancing, I was always told, you are so passionate. How do you do it? And I was like, I don't know. So, I mean, passion is something that is a description that is given to Filipino artists so much. Why do you think this is? Yes, Marlon.
We call it the Birit School of Acting. I think because right now I'm part of ACTOR, the Actors Guild of the Philippines. So we're trying to sort out the identity of the actor, of the Philippine acting. Alam mo yung very performative, yung direct iiyak na ba ako dito? Mananampal na ba ako dito? I think we're always waiting for that moment that we are going to be seen finally. It's our turn to be seen, to be the center of the frame. So, iniipon natin itong lahat ng ating paghihiganti, all these, all these feelings, to that moment when we can slap someone and cry. So there's a lot of that pakitang gilas, that kind of a heat, that init, and it crosses over into other media, into other creative expression. This idea of, pride and orgulloso and garbo. I don't think we are kulang sa pansin as a country. I'm not saying that, but I think we want to be seen. We want yung gilas, yung our time to perform. You've seen performers all over the world. People who perform on Disney, on cruises, on buskers in Hong Kong, na Filipino. We are, I think, intrinsically, ready to perform and to show. I hope it's not, there's a darker side to pakitang gilas, but essentially, I think we are that. We may bisita, ayos ka, di ba? So we have that kind of the audience gaze. It brings out the fire in us. It brings out the fire in us. So, even the colors, look at that. And yung mga tutu, mga kulay na mga, all those things. I think we have that kind of it's also because of the light, psychologically, because we're in the tropical, in the equator. So all these things contribute to it. And that's the lived experience that Jack was talking about, that you cannot fake it. You cannot out-Korean the Koreans. You cannot out-compete you cannot out-compete anyone. The only way to compete outside is to be us. And I'm not talking about Barot Saya, or I'm not talking about Urduha. I'm talking about who you are now. I mean now, di ba? The only authentic idea is what you really feel comfortable with. And if you come from an authentic place, chika yon, di ba? That translates it because people respond. I've gone to the festivals and the global markets, and they always say, that looks like someone, that was done by, But if you do it because it comes from who you are, it always comes out unique, di ba? It always comes out unique. So there's that performative idea. And this is the last part. We are shamed. Usually, we shame each other by saying, ano bang OA mo? You get it? Ba't ganyan ka umarte parang teleserye? Bakit ka ganyan? Bakit ang kulay-kulay mo? Bakit may Horovak-week ka? Bakit jeepney ang art mo? I think we should stop shaming each other about that performative bravura that we have. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But that bravura is there. And I think we are always shamed that don't act that way because that's not Hollywood, the Hollywood style. Or that's not Martin Margiela. That we always try to peg ourselves against all these things. So, kung gusto mong tumalon, gusto mong pakitang gilas, sumigaw, sumayaw, because it's what you feel, then you have to do so. You have to be, I know this is bad, this is a coordinating state, but authenticity is the only thing that happens. That's the only thing, if you live with that, you live with yourself, right? So, might as well show that to everyone. Just be authentic and be magalaw, di ba?
You sort of win at your own game.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's the only game you can't play better than anyone else. So.
Yeah. Shaira, do you also agree? I feel like the internet had really changed the way us Filipinos are able to extend our work to the global market. Before it was when you say, I'm from the Philippines, oh, it's so far. The most that I would go, especially all of my American friends, the most that I would go is maybe Thailand. But I was like, my gosh, it's only like another hour. You're in the Philippines. But I think the internet had really opened the channels. Do you find that in your work that now there's a lot more, it's quote unquote easier for other audiences to see your work because the internet is available?
Absolutely. Since I do produce so much work, I just kind of bravely started emailing publications in other countries, just to try. And they've been very receptive. So I just submit like stories with my ukay-ukay clothes, not even high fashion or anything. I just wanted to see if anyone would take them. And that has given me the opportunity to connect with other people when I go to those countries. Like I show them this work and then this modeling agency, and then somehow all of a sudden I have connections wherever I go. So it was really just taking that step, like no matter how like shy I am, it's just really making that first move because you have nothing to lose. Like you just press send and then see if anyone responds to that. And it's been great so far, like since probably 2015, and it's given me so many important, fun connections that I don't know how I would have made without the internet.
Do you find that it's easier to, I guess, get jobs or get people to notice you by saying that I'm a Filipino artist, or rather than, hey, I'm a photographer?
I actually start all my emails with, "Hi, I'm Shaira. I'm a photographer from Manila, Philippines." And then they're usually, "Wow, you're from the Philippines. It's so great you're sending work. We never get work from there." So if that opens up any doors for anyone else, then I guess my work is done.
Great. I think just with what Shaira had said, there's been an increasing number of Filipino creatives starting to gaining global recognition. What are your thoughts on this growing international acknowledgement of Filipino talent?
I was involved in I'm part of the called CIP, the Creative Industries Philippines. So that's the lobby group for the bill, for the Creative Industries bill. We were doing mapping of what's happening in the Philippine creative industry, what would really cut through the global market. Of course, Korea is always the peg, right? The Hallyu of the Koreans. Marami naman talaga tayong mga kababayan who are, doing outside. You have Jane Ramos on Broadway already. Of course, Lea has always been there. Now in acting, Dali, and then Liza Soberano, and you have, of course, you have Michael Cinco. I mean, you have all those people who have already been doing this, right? I mean, we have Rafe of Rafi's Bag, in the late 80s. So there are a lot. And I'm seeing the Terno in the last 5 years because of all these Terno things, TernoCon. I think it has really solidified. Nasuot na ni Marina Summers ngayon sa Drag Race. So all these little codes, we have arrived at this point because people have worked on this for over time. The pushing of the identity. And I hope we can all participate in pushing this identity. So it's about time. It's about time. But I'll also say this as an old person, not to be a pessimist, that we are now being seen. We are now being seen globally because we're the next thing. I mean, may puppet na nga na Pilipino sa di ba, sa Sesame Street, di ba? Si RJ. I mean, dapat pati na tao, di ba? So it's about time, but you have to understand it's also cyclical. We had the Indians, we had the Chinese, may Michelle Yeoh na, di ba? May Slumdog Millionaire na. So I think it's our time. It's really our time to do that, and we should be. I think we're ready to get to that, no. But we also have to realize that we are not. If it doesn't explode that much for everyone, I think we should not stop. Just keep on doing it. It's in the doing that things happen. It's not in the planning or it's not in the dreaming. It's in the doing. So right now we have so many inquiries about we're contributing content because of the streaming services. Also, aside from social media, we're developing content for Amazon Prime, for Netflix. So our first Netflix original, our first Prime show. So it's starting to. I don't want to say wala silang choice eh. I mean, wala na kayong pupuntahan, come to the Philippines. But I think it's time that all of these things happen. Because a lot of people did prepare us to get here, di ba? So it's just not a now thing. It's just why not? Just about right.
And to add to
Sure.
Marlon's point, I think we also should do our part in amplifying that if you have a platform. Because if we don't amplify it, if the efforts stop, it will only just be a phase. It will only just be a trend. And we don't want it to be a trend. We don't want tokenism. We want it to be part of the everyday. So we should all do our part.
Buy a magazine if I may. Buy a printed copy or buy
Right.
a newspaper. If you're in the media, I mean,
Go buy a ticket.
buy
Yes.
a ticket. Don't ask for compli. I mean, for theater. I mean, you have to buy. You have to buy. You cannot just say, I want this industry to be great and then not pay for it. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, diba?
Yeah.
Bayad ka.
Audience investment, right? Everybody's here to play the long game, and that's what it is.
Right.
It's everybody all in because we know how to be supportive and we just keep on going. As you said, it's an everyday thing. So
And when we all support, we all
we all win.
benefit. Exactly. I think just from being, from seeing it from the beginning of Vogue Philippines, I know that it is intentional on your end to really champion the Filipino creatives. Can you just expand on it more? Why is there such a intent on making sure that the global brand Vogue here with Vogue Philippines really highlights and champion the Filipino creatives?
Couple of answers there. So we do, a big part of it is about Filipino creatives, and I think another part of it is the international creatives or global brands within the Philippine context. I think both are equally important. In terms of Filipino creatives, I will put them into two categories. So the local creatives. For them, it's really this chance to be on an international platform and to showcase their work and all of the years of work that they have done until there was this sort of global platform for everybody. And I think for a lot of the Filipino creatives from the diaspora, I always tell this story that we worked with a Filipino called Sharif Hamza for a very first shoot, the September issue. And he was saying that for a lot of creatives who work abroad, where there's a lot of commercial work, to be able to find a project that resonated deeply and had a personal connection to him was very, very important. So I think at 4 a.m. of the first day of the first shoot that they had in Bukas Grande, in Mindanao, he told the creatives that were with him there, the hair and makeup team, the model, the art director, Pam, the stylist, the assistant photographers. He said, we don't really know each other, but we'll be spending the next 7 to 10 days with each other. So it's very important that we realize why we do these things. And he said, we are doing this together because we want to show the world how beautiful the Philippines is and how beautiful our Filipinas are. We do this for our mothers and our grandmothers. And I think after that, according to the team, there wasn't a dry eye in the whole circle. And I think that sort of motivation, I think, for a lot of people who work abroad and have this platform for different reasons also. All of those reasons are valid and very important. And those are the reasons I think that keep us motivated every day to make sure that we have a platform whose standards are, recognized globally, but also have this deep, substantive local voice as well.
And this question, I think, is for everybody. In your respective fields, where do you see the future of Filipino creatives heading in the next decade?
You're a creative person. I hope that there's a bad term in our industry. It's called the brown discount. The brown discount is if you hire the same caliber or even a higher level of caliber of a creative director from the Philippines, it will always be cheaper than if you get it from Singapore, Thailand, the other countries. Kumbaga, nung nag-expat ako, mas mura pa rin yung, we call it the brown discount because if it's Filipino, you can pay cheaper. I think we should kill that culture. That just because you're from the Philippines, you can be cheaper. I think our rates should be global. I think sometimes as Filipinos, we're so used, Shaira and we're talking about this, we're so used to bad, not so ideal conditions, low budget, that when you get to work in the regional world, in the regional sphere, global sphere, we're so thankful. Oh my gosh, may kape, may aircon, di ba? We're so thankful for the little things what actually deserve those things. So for me, what I wish and I think it will happen is that the brown discount should stop from happening. I think our rates should be competitive to everyone in the world because I think we have so many brilliant people. Itatapat ko si Shaira Luna dyan sa mga Jurgen Teller niya, no? You get it? I mean, we are competitive. And I think that's one thing that should disappear. That brown, we call it the brown. That's our joke. Get a Filipino mas cheaper. I think that should disappear. And I think it will happen soon. I mean, because, global platforms and so on and so forth.
Yes.
I think
But yeah, you want to add something?
maybe what I see, and I think it would be interesting to see that evolution is that for a lot of Filipino creatives that there will be interesting collaborations. And I think that's cross collaborations between different industries or different regions, different countries. And I think that kind of growth will be very, very exciting to see.
What about you, Shaira? What are you most looking forward to?
Definitely the collaborations.
Okay.
I always feel like I'm not equipped enough sometimes when I, for example, have to work for foreign clients. I always feel so nervous. But then when I see them working, it's like, oh, it's kind of what we've been doing as well. So there's really no reason to feel smaller. You really have to put yourself out there if you know you've done the work, if you know you're backed by a great team, and if your intentions are true, then you can make it. I think I just always have to convince myself and others that you can do the same or better.
Great. All right. I think we've asked our panelists a lot of questions. We've covered a lot. I know it's always not enough. Now we're going to open the floor for questions from the audiences. So there are mics on each of the audience area. Any questions?
Hi, I'm Kairis. Currently, I'm a journalism student from the University of Santo Tomas, and I'm also a writer for a student publication, and I cover arts and culture and also features. My question goes to Ms. Valdes and Sir Jacs. So Vogue Philippines is only a little over a year old. And with that, I would like to ask, how did the publication develop its style guide, referring to the writing and the stories that it covers? And how does it differ from other local publications and other counterparts of it from all over the world?
Well, if I may, I think since we are only a year old, we are also still discovering a lot of things about who we are and what we want to do. But like with any Vogue title out there, we always led with our brand values, and our mission. So we start with that, and then we think what would be more appropriate to the articles and the stories that we make. So as simple as that, we start with the values that we have and the mission that we have.
Again, what I will do is I'll give you an example of what Jacs means. If our values are inclusivity, diversity, sustainability, craft, and creativity, when we do our beauty issue, our way of thinking about it is then putting Wang Od on the cover. Because from us, our perspective, she touches on a lot of those values, but it is within the Filipino expression. So.
And to answer your other question about how different we are with other titles, I don't think, I think we all have the same intention. Or local publications also have the same intention on championing the topics and the communities that they have. But it's just that Vogue is a different platform just because of its heritage and its longevity. So it is a big platform because it's easily recognizable, but the intention is the same.
Yes.
All right, that's all. Thank
And
you so much.
just to answer the other questions, I think from what I've heard, of what makes them different from their counterpart global brands is that I think there's an intention to champion the Filipino. Is that right?
Yes, it is. I mean, we do have a lot of international stories, and I think if you go through the pages, you'll find there that there is actually quite a great balance. It's just, I suppose, some of the stories we lead and therefore are associated because they are the covers, do feel about that we champion local talents.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, yes, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. So I'm Maui. I'm also a creative. This question is for Sir Marlon, but I'm gonna open it up for everyone. So as a creative, we also deal with a lot of creative slumps and self-doubt. How do you overcome that? What's the process like when you're doubting yourself on a certain subject or what you're supposed to do? Or let's say, like Sir Marlon, your career is so diverse now. Now you're starting painting. Let's say, what made you overcome that, let's say, idea of like, I can be a painter also? Like sometimes picking up a pen or holding up a brush or a camera for the first time can be so daunting. So what do you do to overcome that self-doubt?
It never goes away. It never goes away. I mean, there's no day in a creative person's life you say, galing ko eh. I mean, there's no such thing. Every project is new. Every encounter is new. You have to do it. Creativity is doing. I mean, you learn by doing. You learn by, not by thinking about it. You learn by doing. So if you're a painter, first brush in. If you're a photographer, shoot something. Because in the doing and the iteration of the repetition, you understand yourself better. So, paint when you're happy, paint when you're sad, paint when you're in doubt, go to work, show up, show up, show up. I know that's not the question the answer you want to hear. I don't believe in a creative block. I don't believe in writer's block because I have bills to pay. I don't believe in any of those blocks. And when you get older and you keep on doing it, you get to a point where if you don't have the inspiration, you can rely on the discipline. You know how to start that painting compositionally, or you want to. So, in the end, the doubt is not the problem. The doubt, insecurity, it's always the starting. Just start it and then see it through. See it through all the way through. If I am really, really stuck, I would consume. Meaning, if I'm stuck on something, I would look at something that inspires me. So I would consume until I regurgitate it out. So I guess you have to, like a shark, you can't sleep. You have to just keep on moving. But I don't know. I mean, for me, the doubt, every time I go to work, I still worry about, will I get this right? Am I correct in doing this? The doubt never disappears, eh? But you just have to do it.
Your deadline is your best inspiration. Also your bills. But really, I mean, like what Marlon said, I think you can have different job titles all your life. Imposter syndrome is still real. It will always be there. You just have to take that first step. Just do it. Like if I feel stuck, I mentioned this earlier, I take a step back, do something else that I enjoy. Like for example, I enjoy walking a lot. So when I'm thinking about an article, I just take a long walk. I used to live in Makati. I used to walk along Ayala Triangle area excessively. So just do something else. Let the idea percolate and come back to it. Then you might find something better, and you just type it out. Just do it. Nothing else will help you, but by not just doing it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, let's go to you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jem. I'm also a creative. So this question is for Sir Marlon and Ms. Shaira. But I'm going back to what Sir Marlon said a while ago na you try to resonate to the good things only when you're working with your team and just tell them what can be better. But was there a time na you realized that this is a bad work, or what is a bad work for you?
Well, because this, as a creative director, when you're a creative director or an executive creative director, it happens thrice a day. I mean, it happens every day. It's called clearances, brainstorm, clearance. People come to your office showing you their work for judgment, whether it goes through, right? If you're a creative director. No, never. The worst thing I would say is, unless you're very close, I have a very close writer. His creative director's name is Chris Martinez. He's my cinema writer, a cinema partner. That's the only time I said, ganda na ba yun? The worst that I would say is, am I jumping up and down? Am I happy? Do I look happy? I mean, it has to be done in jest. That's the worst thing I've ever said in front of, parang, mukha ba ako masaya? Because the creative spirit is also it's strong, but it's also fragile. You know, some people will go to be club, when they fold and then they don't want to open up again. That's very hard. I think you never do your criticism when the clearances are happening. You have to take them aside and do a person-to-person feedback, where it's a much safer space. You can talk about things and be very constructive about it. When I do my clearances, I'm very precise. I tell you exactly 3 things. Is this on strat? Is this conceptual? Is this executional? Is it how you tie up to the job? Is it the way you're thinking? Or is it the way you're making this happen? So always 3. So I externalize my judgment so that it's not about you. Kasi parang off-strat po ito, anak. I love the execution, but it's off-strat. Or this is so on-strat, but you can make the execution a bit shinier. Or execution is beautiful, but the conceptual handle is medyo weak. So I always try to be clear about how I'm processing the work. So it's not about you, it's about the work. That's why I never had to get to the point where I say, ang pangit naman ito. Di ba yung tatapon mong ganun? Well, that's in the movie house. That's on cinema. It doesn't happen in real life. Well, it happens, but I don't do it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, for our next one, okay?
Hello, my name is Kathleen. I'm a Com Art student from DLSU, junior layout manager for Malate Literary Folio, and also a newbie photographer for De La Salle. So I wanted to bounce off the segment on accessibility earlier, but on the creator side, the behind the scenes. So the general assumption is that fashion is such a hard industry to get into, especially with those that are totally starting from scratch. And I want to direct my question to Ms. Bea and Ms. Shaira. How do you think has the industry changed regarding this barrier of entry?
Barrier of entry. I don't know, honestly, if it's changed. I can tell you my background before a year and a half ago when I joined Vogue I was a designer for 20 years. And again, it's really just in the doing. You take the leap, even if you're 2 people who are doing it, and you start from there. And then if you're lucky, it will grow. And it will grow 1 piece at a time, and then 1 person at a time. And then you just keep on going. And you keep on going every day, whether, again, it's a good day or a bad day, you show up, you do the work, and then you come in the next day. So in terms of if it's difficult to start, I think the thing is just start and then see where that goes, because that will, it will be difficult because there are ups and downs for sure, whether you're a very small company or a very large one. So I don't know. It was really as simple as starting with 1 person who sewed and did embroidery, and at least from my personal experience, it grew from there.
For me, getting into fashion was kind of an accident. I didn't grow up with a fashion background, nor a photography background. I didn't grow up reading fashion magazines. I was doing a lot of events. I was shooting PR, products, golf, like you name it, I would shoot it. It just so happened that I got a text and then, someone backed out. We need a photographer to do a fashion editorial. I'm like, what is a fashion editorial? I had no idea what that was. I didn't know what a stylist did. I didn't know there would be a creative director on set. So imagine all that happening, like all these clothes were there and I was in the shoot and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But again, you just do it and then you keep doing it. And then that's when you start researching, you start getting to know the people in the industry, and you start learning that not all magazines are the same, not all clients have the same requirements. So again, like everyone says, it's really just doing and starting and taking that leap and see where it leads you. I really never thought I would be in this industry, but I'm very happy I am. All right, thank
I think,
All
though,
right, thank
if I may
you.
add for
Yes.
just a second, it helps if you know what you want, even if it's intuitive, right? And then as you go along, the plan will grow from there. But it's kind of imperative that you have that feeling of where you want to go, because that will direct you also.
Exactly. I just knew I didn't want to shoot sports.
You wanted to shoot sports?
I did not. That's all I knew. Thank you.
Before we end, I'm gonna ask each of you: do you have any encouraging words or advice to all of our aspiring creatives or artists out there that are here with us live in the audience, and those that are gonna listen to us podcast?
I have three things actually, because I teach my students this. First of all, if you're a creative, you need to work also on. There's a creativity part, and there's also the social and the communication part. You can't lose the other one. You should be able to explain your perspective, explain your art, explain your creation, and be able to hold a conversation with somebody you don't know. That's quite important, because you are putting yourself out there, you're putting your work out there. Secondly, rather than, and we mentioned this earlier, rather than just searching for your passion, follow your curiosity. Because that is, I mean, if you're looking, what is my passion? What is my passion? It will burn you. So you just follow your curiosity wherever it may lead, except when it leads to crime. But follow your curiosity where it may go. And then somehow you will find what you're passionate about. And third, always remember the responsibility that you have. Because this is not superficial things. If you are a creative director or a photographer, you work for a magazine, you're telling stories. And telling a story is not a small thing. A story can change someone's life. A story can allow people to be seen and see, can allow to change people's minds. It can lift people out of depression. So always have that in your mind if you're doing a story, okay? Because that's always important.
Great, thank you.
It's probably going to be short, but it's exactly the same thing. It is a big responsibility, and you always have to be prepared for anything that is thrown at you. I always read Artu Nepomuceno's Light Notes. Artu is also one of the photographers who does a lot of work for Vogue, and he very generously shares like how he lights things, how he goes about producing or mounting a shoot. And he says what differentiates a good photographer from any other photographers, that you are always prepared for what will happen, because not everything will go as planned. So you have to have the skill set, and you have to have communication skills to be able to do things like that. I think maybe for creatives who are listening, to probably not be so invested in trying to find a style that will set you apart from others. I think you just have to keep creating and creating and creating, and maybe the style will find you, or it won't.
Great.
As long as you keep creating, and most importantly, still have fun if you can.
Yeah. Marlon?
Related to the question kanina, you have to, if you want to get into Vogue, which is hard, Vogue Philippines, you have to think of the industry ang thinking dapat. There are adjacent skills that you can get to how I got this from Neil Gaiman, and he said, as long as you know you're walking towards that mountain, you can be lost along the way, as long as you know that you're tending towards that mountain. So knowing what you want, knowing the mountain, and then you can get to adjacent skills. You can be a photographer, you have to find your people kasi. You have to find your people. You cannot do it alone, so you have to find your way into photographers, makeup artists, writers, anything that has to do with, if that's what you want to be in Vogue. Of course, you have to read all the Vogue, review everything. So you can think of it as adjacencies. There is no one door that will lead you there. So there you have to get into the other bits and pieces that can bring you closer to that mountain and to your people. It's the same in film. You have to find, if you're a makeup artist, you're supposed to work with your people, your hairstylist, your glam, your team. It's the same everywhere in all creative industries, except for the visual arts. You have to find your people. So if you want to become a writer for magazines, for Vogue, You have to start somewhere. And it doesn't have to be writing. It doesn't have to be writing. You could be an assistant to a stylist or whatever. Basta you have to go, yun lang. You have, as Bea said, you have to know what you want and you have to work closer and closer. And the path is never one straight line. It's never one straight line.
Great. Bea?
I don't know. I think if you're a real creative, as many of us are here, then you have no choice, right? You have no choice. It's in your blood. It's how you breathe. It has to find an outlet. And there will be great days and there will be long months where it's not so great, but you just have to keep on going. And again, you can go on many smaller tangent paths that look interesting, but just keep on going. And then, it will all converge in a place that you don't expect, but suddenly when you get there, everything will make sense. So
Great. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end our discussion. If there's anything that I've learned today, it's the Filipino creative is worth celebrating, and the Filipino creative's time is now. And for everybody out there who wants to be a creative, an artist, go for your dreams. There's no perfect time to start but today. And remember that there's no path that will lead you astray if you just focus and believe in what you do and in your dreams. So with that, thank you very much. Happy Arts Month. We'd like to thank our guests, of course, Ms. Bea Valdes, Mr. Jacs Sampayan, and Mr. Marlon Rivera, and Ms. Shaira.
thank you, Chris.
Oh, you're very welcome. Of course. Thank you all. Have a wonderful